What up, y'all? Just woke up. That's why my hair is so messed up. I often like to film some videos right when I wake up. Um, in this one, I want to talk about something, pretty important, and there's going to be a lot of info in this. So listen to the end. And, I feel like you got to kind of understand every part of this video in order to understand it overall. So let's get into it. So first, I want to talk about in this video, I want to talk about how women's attraction works differently than men's, right? And how there's different elements to women's attraction that don't exist with us. Like women are a lot slower to become attracted, and like we're a lot quicker, you know. And I used to wonder, why don't women just become attracted immediately to men like men become attracted to women? I used to always think it's a glitch in like their brain or something like that. That used to be what I would think. But then after I thought about it for a while, I realized if women's attraction was just like men's, then this whole world would be screwed, because people would be having sex left and right. There'd be so many unwanted pregnancies, so many STDs, right? So one person has to be the resistor and one person has to be the pursuer, right? And women are the resistors. They resist the pursuit or the pursuer. The man is the pursuer. The women, you know, I think women were not designed to pursue, and this is going to sound crazy, but I think that women were borderline not even designed to say yes to dates, right? And I know that sounds crazy, but like I feel like if you experience dating a lot, like you'll realize that. I think that, you know, with women there's a lot of, like what I'm saying, resistance in the start, right? It's way easier to give a woman a good date than it is to get a date with a woman. You know what I'm saying? Because women have an interesting way of their how their brain works. Like they could avoid, going on a date with you for weeks or months, and then finally when you go out with them, they have an absolutely amazing time, and then you think to yourself, well, if our time was so good together and she texts me, hey, I had a great time, blah blah blah, then why was it so hard to get her to go out on a date? Like why like couldn't she sense that vibe right away, right? Like, but now she's out on the date having an amazing time. And I thought about that and I was like, I realized like there's a disconnect with women, right? Going on that first date is like a giant, getting over a giant hump for them, right? It's a giant investment. Even once they have fun on the date, you know, it was so hard for them to go on the first date, which is why like so like I've spoken about in my other videos, a lot of the time if a woman doesn't go on a date with you, it's not necessarily about your value or about how attractive you are. It has almost A lot of the time it really has nothing to do with that. It has to do with what I call, first date resistance, right? Like, and I think the meaning of a date has changed in the past, generation, right? From like 20 or 30 years ago. I think like back in the day, a date was a little bit different. A date meant, that if there's a little bit of attraction, just a little bit of a spark, or you could see a potential future between you guys, then a date would happen so that you could explore that. It was exploratory. But these days I think people will go on dates, but it's if they really like them, you know what I'm saying, if they already know them really well. Otherwise, you get sent to their Instagram, well, they'll watch and screen you on the Instagram rather than actually through a date. The problem with that, I think, is that women are not as visual. They're more as experiential when it comes to dating. They have to actually be in front of you and hear your voice and feel your leadership in order to stay contained, or like to be able to become attracted to you and want to be around you more. So I know it's kind of a paradox, but I truly believe that women were designed to date and marry, but they weren't designed to agree to dates. I know it sounds like a glitch, but it is how it is. If you date long enough, like, you'll understand that. Like, women were designed to date and marry, but they weren't designed to say yes to dates. So that's a lot of the time where you're gonna lose the woman. It has nothing to do with your value. It has to do with the fact that she just simply did not go on a date with you, right? Because women's attraction works, it works like backwards, right? A lot of, like, when we go on a date with a woman, it's because we like her, right? We go on a date with a woman because we like her. For a woman, she doesn't like us because she didn't go on the date, right? Because their thing works backwards. They become attracted later down the road. They become highly attracted once they've gone on a date or two. And it doesn't mean that you're going to be good at dating, or that you can always give a woman a good date. If you don't have a lot of practice, then it might be a little bit harder. But like I'm saying, women work backwards. They're not highly attracted to you because they didn't go on the date with you. But we are different. We won't go on a date with a woman because we're not attracted. See, so it works in reverse, right? Of course, as a man, you do have to have some value. You look better as far as in dating. Look better, dress better, communicate better, all that type of thing. But that doesn't always help, right? There's going to be a lot of guys that ask out girls that they could be that man could be a compatible match with that girl, right? But she's gonna say no, right? But sometimes, the woman will kind of will say yes to somebody, and it's kind of complicated on why it happens. Sometimes it's just because they know each other well, they're in the same space. Sometimes they had a lot of time to chat, or maybe she's just in a really good mood or got a really good vibe on that day that the guy asked her out, or whatever, or that he played the long game. Maybe he's good at texting. There is some level of game to it, but a lot of the time a woman is going to turn down a ton of men that are actually could be completely compatible with her, right? So now we're going to talk about how a woman becomes attracted and starts chasing a man, right? So a woman will become attracted to a man through her investment in him, emotional interaction with him, and then the man capitalizing off what I call the female instability, right? So first we're going to talk about this female instability, right? So like we talked about, a woman, if she likes a man, she's a combination between avoiding him and going for him, right? Liking him. And a man can lose the woman in this in-between state. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's something wrong with this man, right? It just means that he can lose her during this period, right? Because women are not natural born leaders. They're it's not that they can't lead. I'm not saying that. It's not that they can't be managers or CEOs or whatever. I'm not on that level of like thinking that they couldn't be, but they lean towards being led, right? They lean towards having their emotions contained by a stoic man rather than containing their own emotions, right? So this means that when they go to date a man, they're transferring a good chunk of their autonomy over to the man, right? Which is very scary for them. So this is how you can lose a woman in the in-between state, right? While she's kind of liking you, but she's a little bit scared, because she's transferring part of her leadership over to you as the man. So she's very unstable during that time period, right? So part of even getting her to that point where she's at the halfway point between liking you and also wanting to run away, part of that is by through investment, right? And this is in no particular order, but first we're gonna talk about what I'm referring to as fear investments, right? I hope this video isn't getting all over the place. If you have to stop and rewatch it, please do, but just listen. So fear investment is the first part, right? A lot of dudes, I think they think, okay, they're gonna want to make the woman as comfortable as possible. But yeah, that is true. You want to add some comfort, but one thing you also have to understand is that every fear a woman overcomes with you builds trust. Okay, it not only builds trust, but it builds like a slight dopamine high, right? Because of the reward. And I'll explain what I mean by this. So there's many ways that you have to cause women slight fear for her to be able to begin to trust you. All right, an example of that could be to offer to give her a ride home, right? Or maybe even she gives you a ride home if you don't have a car or whatever. So there's gonna be a little bit of fear, all right? She's never been alone with you. She's never been in a car with you. She doesn't wanna, have to drive near her house or whatever. She doesn't want you to know, she doesn't want to be alone with you because she's gonna be afraid, right? And there might be a little hesitancy. She might be like, nah, I don't know. Maybe I'll just take the bus. Maybe I'll just Uber. Sometimes you gotta push a little bit. No, it's okay. You don't have to pay for the Uber. I'll take you home, right? This is gonna spike her fear a little bit, okay? But when you get her home, drop her off, and you go home, and she finds that you're not stalking her house next day, that fear is gonna turn into trust, okay? So that's a big part of it. You have to cause the woman a little bit of fear. All right, we'll start on another one. Another one could be walking in a secluded place, right? I'll give you an example. When I was walking on this trail. I wanted to walk this trail with this girl, this bike trail, recently or a few months back. And when we got there, she was a little bit scared. She was like, she literally asked me as a joke. She's like, "You're not gonna like murder me in the trail, right?" And I was like, no, don't worry. I was like, I don't know. I think maybe I flipped it on her. Oh, I'm afraid you're gonna murder me or something like that. And she was scared. But as we started to get down the trail, she started to have more fun, right? And then she was loosening up, and then she was no longer thinking about that fear. You know what I'm saying? And that later down the road, once we got to the end of the trail, and we split up and went home, I know that fear turned into trust, right? And that trust, it the more trust a woman builds with you, the more scary it is for her to turn around and go find another guy, because now she has to build that back up with him. So you want to build trust with a woman because, so that you become the easiest option, because otherwise she has to go back and build the trust up with another guy, right? Another example would be one time I was with this girl, and we were on like the top floor of this building, right? And it was actually like our first time hanging out, and we couldn't find the elevator. I don't know why, we just couldn't. And I was like, but there were stairs, like some secluded stairs, and I could tell she was a little bit hesitant, right? But I was like, you know what? We can't find the elevator. Let's just go down the stairs, right? And I walked, and I kind of kept my distance from her, like, even though it was this long, secluded, stairwell. I kind of kept my distance from her a little bit. Like, I kind of walked ahead as far as I remember, and she looked a little bit nervous. But then when we got to the end, we exited the door, and everything's fine. It builds trust, you know what I'm saying? And it's not even just doing things that cause a little bit of fear. It's good, if you can know her name, possibly know where she lives, right? It's creating intimacy and that fear investment. The more leverage you have over her, the more you could hurt her but don't, the more she's gonna trust you, right? If you don't have any information on her, like her last name, where she lives, then she's still gonna feel a little bit afraid of you. You have to cause that initial fear, and then later you don't hurt her, take advantage of her, and now she feels trust, right? So I know that sounds a little bit, nerve-wracking, but sometimes it's just good, right? Another one could be to drink alcohol with her, right? A lot of girls are really afraid to go to the bar. They're afraid that you're going to drug their drink. They're afraid that you're going to try to get them drunk. But if you just go there and just say, hey, let's just have one drink, and then you just go home, right? After that, you go back to your own place. She goes back to her place. Then she feels a little bit more comfortable now. Okay, he didn't try to get me drunk, okay? Because they're reaching these little milestones with you. They're taking risks, right? You have to get a woman to face fears for you, right? Okay. All right, the next one is not even just about fear. Sometimes it's about leadership, right? You got to get her to try a new food. That could be partially a fear, but let's say there's a new food that she's afraid to try. You got to encourage her to try it, right? She's going to have some resistance, and this is just representative of the resistance that she has to your leadership in general, right? So you got to find little metaphors that represent that leadership, all right? A woman, like I'm saying, she's resisting the man's leadership. That's what women do in this early stage. So, for example, taking her to a place where she's never tried the food and you get her to try it, right? Oh no, it's gonna be good. Don't worry, just try. Then when she tries it, she's now put two and two together. She tries it, she now likes the food, probably. And even if she doesn't, she just now put the connection together that you can get her to do something. And this all works backwards. If you can get her to do something, then she's more likely to let you get her to do another thing, right? And let her get you to do another thing. And you're slowly helping her release her autonomy over to you. You're allowing her to lead her. So so now she keeps showing up, because every time you ask her to show up, you already, to meet you on a date or whatever, you've already created that association in her brain. You've got her to do something for you, all right? And it's not even just getting her to do things for you, it's also having the ability to move her and lead her, all right? So for example, let's say that you go take a photo of her. You might not know anything about photography or poses or anything, but you can fake it. You can just fake it. You gotta walk up to her and be like, no, move your chin a little bit. You can move her chin, no, up. Okay, grab her shoulders and be like, no, move a little bit this way. Okay, now face this way. Okay, now smile. Or all right, actually, no, you need to change your hair. Walk up and change your hair. So now you're you're essentially, you're getting her to move at your will, consensually, right? And that's putting it in her brain that you are her leader, right? So now there's all this kind of investment happening, right? And if you add some laughing, some flirting, sharing about your personal lives, all right, and you add time to it, you add some feeling of safety, where let's say she doesn't want to go out for 1 week. You just let that week slide. Okay, I'll see her next week. I'll see her 2 weeks from now. I'll run into her at blah, blah, blah. You just let it go, right? Because, okay, and then the last one, you don't necessarily have to use this. I mean, I think you should. And this is physical, right? So this is the part where you're going to reach more resistance. The woman is going to not want you to touch her. Right? And this is where women can be really, I mean, she might, but it's also possible that she's just going to be more resistant. This is where women can be quite unstable. In this stage, they can even look at you and smile like they want you to kiss them, and then when you go to do it, they pull away, right? So this is a point where, women works backward. Their attraction works backwards. Again, as a man, we see a woman and we want to kiss her, right? For women, they want to kiss a man after the man kisses them, right? That's how they think. It's all in reverse. The man just sees the woman. Oh my gosh, she's so attractive. The woman gets kissed by the man, goes home, reflects on it, then becomes attracted to him, and then later she wants him to kiss her again, right? So it's not as conceptual, right? A man visualizes what he wants from the start, but the woman almost has to experience it. You almost have to make her your taste, make you her taste, by conditioning her to like it, to like you, right? It doesn't work the same, okay? For us, our attraction and loyalty to a woman comes like instantly, right? If we even like her at all, we'd want to like save her from the big bad criminal, or we'd want to, save her from a burning building or something like that. But women, their loyalty comes later, right? Which is why I keep telling you, women are designed to date. They're designed to marry, but they're not designed to say yes to dates. It doesn't make sense, but if you understand that, like, if you understand that, you'll feel a lot more at peace of, okay, why many women are not going to say yes to you, why many women are going to dip out on the second date even though it seemed like they like you, various things like that, right? And you're just going to understand that women are a lot slower, okay? So a woman's loyalty and attraction to you will come later, date 4, date 5, who knows, right? But it's not necessarily going to come right away. And this is why, you'll experience certain things with women where you'll be like, where it's like, it seemed like they just don't care about you, like, for example, like, let's say that you needed a favor from them very early on, like when you don't know them that much. A lot of times they're not going to do it. But if you asked a woman, hey, like, can you stop by the grocery store and pick something up for me? Or, hey, can you come help me with my homework because I need it? A lot of time they're not going to do it. But a man, instant, bro. Instant, he will be over there to help him, right? Like, if you text a woman when she's on vacation and be like, hey, I really want X souvenir. I'll pay you for it if you bring it back, blah, blah, blah. Like, you tell her which street it's on and where to go to get it. A lot of times she gonna text you back like at the end of her trip and say, sorry, I didn't have enough time. And she didn't get it. But for a man, if you're on vacation and a girl texts you, hey, can you get that, chocolate bar that they only make in that city or whatever, dang right, you would get it, right? You'd go right there and you would get it. It's because women don't always feel that same investment right away, right? So women's attraction and investment, it works backwards, okay? And see, here's the thing, like, a lot of the time when the woman does reach the halfway point between liking you and resisting you, that's the good point to kiss her, right? To go for a kiss, because this will stabilize her more, where she'll be like, okay, we've had our first kiss, because women don't want to go backwards, bro. Like I'm saying, they don't want to go backwards to have to find another man. They go forward with the man who has like captured them, right? Because for men, it's just about attraction. If we're attracted, we'll keep showing up. But for women, it's almost like they gotta be captured, right? It's like they're unstable until these investments happen, until you kiss them. It's like they have to be almost, they almost have to be, I don't know how to explain it. It's like confined by these investments. It keeps them stable, if that makes sense, from running away from you. All right. If, I believe if you're around a really good woman, hopefully you don't have to kiss her in order for her to stabilize her so that she's not so indecisive about you. Hopefully you don't have to do those things. Hopefully you don't have to do the fear investments for a girl to like you. But in a sense, it's a good thing, right? It's a good thing, because this makes it so that a woman can really only like one man at a time. I believe that God designed it like this so that, people aren't rampantly having sex all over the place. Because if men and women thought the same, if both men and women were pursuers and visual, it will be a cluster F. There would be people having sex on the side of the street, probably, because both people would be so, you know, there'd be no resistance. There'd be zero resistance. One person has to be the resistor. And that's why, as a man, you have to take your time. You can't be too impatient, right? Because she's going to be your resistance, right? Yeah, so anyways, it's a good thing because women will be more inclined to only like one man, or if she's, unless she's just a total, like, something is off about her, like she will just go out and have sex with anybody. I don't know, or go on a date with anybody. That might be a little bit weird. It might be that she's just neurodivergent. I don't know. And that she doesn't need to go through these little investments, and yeah, fear investment and the physical escalation and that type of thing that I'm talking about, like kissing her in order to stabilize her. But yeah, most women will be more inclined to like one man because they can only focus on the one who is actually in front of them, who they are experiencing, right? A man can be attracted to literally a million women at one time, and like instantly he could, go up on I don't know how to explain it. He could literally go to the top of the hill and there could be 1 million women in bikinis at the bottom, and he's looking over all of them and he's attracted. That's how he is. But yeah, and don't always feel discouraged, because if a woman can only be attracted to one man at a time, or if she leans towards not being attracted to anybody because she's very resistant, not necessarily picky. Like I'm saying, it's not necessarily about your value. It's just that women, like I'm saying, were not designed to say yes to dates. They were designed to date, but they were not designed to say yes to go on the date, the initial committing part. So sometimes it's better if you know a woman in your friend circle or coworkers so you can continue to talk to them. But yeah, women's attraction works in reverse. They have to experience you and experience these types of investments, firsthand, while we only have to see her and we can already visualize what we want. So it's a difference. So be patient and understand that. I promise you, this is gonna help you a ton, right? Okay. And another part of this point I really want to make is that this means that you often can't wait. You can't wait for a woman to make a move on you. You can't wait for the woman to make the kiss. You can't wait for her to make these investments. She's never gonna invite you to something that makes her partially scared. Okay? She's not gonna invite you to the bike trail, like what happened with me. I had to bring her there. So you have to bring her to these minor fearful situations and push her a little bit. If she's not okay with it, okay. If she's really resisting, okay, go change your mind. And always make it fun. Always make it fun. If you're gonna get a woman to face the fear, do your best to make it fun, or just be nonchalant about it, like it's not a big deal. All right, peace out, yo.